Greetings, I'm Dave, and the channel's Harleys, Diners, Rides. And as you know from our previous videos, we're on It's All About Country Tour with our lovely Miss Lorilei. So today is day 10, and we've already taken in Dollywood, hometown, and today we're going to talk about Memphis, right? And I'm going to turn it over to the lovely Miss Lorilei to give you the update of how we made out for our 3 days in Memphis.
Well, it was a whirlwind for sure, and I actually took some notes because there was so much that we saw. I just didn't want to miss sharing something with you. So we actually went, we stayed at a park that was right on the Graceland property, and then we went over to Graceland through a VIP tour, which David graciously purchased, which was really nice. So how it started over at Graceland is we went through the garage, which later became Vernon's apartment for a short time. A punishment from Elvis, I learned, because he remarried and he was hurt because it was so soon after his mother Gladys had passed. So it was clear right from the beginning that Elvis had a fascination for guns and the police, and he had a number of department cards and badges as well as a variety of guns. His house was last remodeled in 1970. It was what I would call very opulent, right, for that time. He had a tremendous love of peacocks, and he had so much stained glass. He had roses and peacocks and stained glass throughout. And he literally had a TV in every single room. What I learned from the peacocks is that they represent beauty, protection, new beginnings, and masculinity. But specifically to Elvis, because of his religious background, it also was a sense of immortality.
Yeah, I'm a peacock. Right.
So, the house, Graceland, was a gift to his parents, and they had their own special bedroom, and it was all lavender. So it had a lavender bathroom and the bedroom with a great big white carpet. We saw the dining room, which also had a TV, and the guide told us that he sat at the head of the table, and underneath the table, it was the original table from the wedding, all of their original wedding china, and he had a button under there to call in the staff to serve food, because he always had 8 to 10 people over for dinner at any point in time. Mm-hmm. Then we learned the kitchen, he had hired 3 chefs and 3 maids who worked on 8-hour shifts. And that's because he just wanted, because of strange hours, he was a night hawk, but also because for his parents in the day, or him at evening, or any of his entourage, or his Memphis Mafia, I think is what they called it. He always wanted to make sure people felt comfortable and were well taken care of. So he literally had 3 chefs and 3 sets of maids to work. And he loved cheeseburgers,
yeah,
all southern food, right? Like meatloaf, fried chicken, macaroni and cheese. And then his favorite dessert was banana pudding. And then it was really interesting to see the kitchen, for me specifically. He had sort of the first 5 burner, he had the first toaster oven, he had, that beautiful wall oven that was like with the glass front. Also in there, they had all their security cameras and their phones, to talk throughout the house. So it was very sophisticated as well for that time. We went into the basement and we saw this bar, and it's yellow leather everywhere. And there he also had 3 TVs. He was a big fan of football. There was literally shag carpet everywhere. It was on the walls, carpet in the kitchen, carpet in the ceiling. But what's really interesting too is every single room for his company, he had a bar. There was a bar in every single room. So I asked, well, did he drink? And they're like, no, he drank soda. And one of his favorite was Dr. Pepper and Gatorade. Yeah. There was also a pool room. Now I gotta tell you, that was like, oh my God. It was psychedelic for sure. It was literally
it was based on curtains. Curtains
wall to wall fabric.
Yeah,
it was
wall-to-wall curtains, and the ceiling was covered in, I call it curtains. I guess you call it material, but
it's fabric.
It's fabric, yes. Curtains.
And it was, I mean, really robust colors, and it was literally from the center of the ceiling outwards, you know, in a shape, and then it's every wall.
Like a peacock's tail opening up.
Yeah, you could think of it like that, actually. And
and sound, it deadened the sound. There was no echo in those rooms.
No, and so, anyways, so going back to the yellow bar, that was a movie projector room, so he had a huge movie screen. He had a custom couch down there that like sat 12 people. Again, had this yellow bar, listened to this music, listened to all his football games. Then the pool room was where everybody played and had a lot of fun too. They said Lisa Marie played in there quite often. But then what was funny is the jungle room. So Vernon had been out to a store and he said he saw the most ugliest furniture ever. Well, then doesn't Elvis rush out there to get this furniture? It was so large scale, with all ornamental heads, and he did a whole wall display of waterfall of water in the room, and again, green shag carpet all over the floor, halfway up the walls,
and the ceiling,
and in the hallway, in the ceiling. And the furniture was so large scale that he actually had to take out a window to bring it in, because he didn't measure anything. Again, he put in another bar, but this became really famous actually, because he was able to record a couple of movies record some songs out of those that room, the jungle room. So then we saw Vernon's office, and off to the right of that was a smokehouse. Now, in the old days, when it was a farm, when they originally bought it, I think it was a creamery or something originally, but anyways, they turned it into a smokehouse because Vernon loved to smoke meat, and later Elvis and his group used it as target practice.
Yeah, not very good, because you can see where they missed the target and hit the walls.
So they dug all the bullets out of the walls to show. Yeah, that was kind of cool though. And then there was Lisa Marie's, original swing set, very old. But then there was a whole archive section, and literally what we learned is Vernon kept every single thing: his birth certificate, every invoice,
driver's
every receipt,
license,
his report card, his library card, every single pay stub he ever had. Literally everything. And I mean, they actually, for the stained glass I talked about, or the wrought iron that they put on, and every chandelier that they bought, and every piece of jewelry he bought, every jumpsuit he bought, there was a receipt for, and many of them were on display. So then you start to see the birth of Lisa Marie and how important, like his marriage obviously to Priscilla, and how the birth of Lisa Marie was really important. And they showed a lot of their home movies throughout the exhibit, and absolutely all of her original baby stuff, her clothes, her stroller, her everything. It was really amazing. We also learned how generous Elvis was. He gave away a lot of gifts and cars.
And money.
He had a tremendous love of horses. He had a swimming pool. He was really into karate, and I don't know if he was 8th level at some point. He also built a racquetball court where he played. Actually, the VIP tour told us that he literally played racquetball that day that he died. He played there for over an hour. Then when you see the racquetball, he has, like, again, a lounge and a bar and a piano, and he came back and he played the piano and played some songs, and then he went in, had his dinner, went to bed, and that was the night, of course, that he passed away. We also then see he had a meditation garden, and his mom's there himself, Vernon, Jesse, which was in memoriam for his twin brother Jesse, his dad's mother, Minnie Mae, and also for Lisa Marie and also her son Benjamin. They're all buried there. And also as part of the VIP tour, we got to go into a private room and see his personal articles up close, and with special gloves we were able to touch his cape and things. So it was neat. He had a tremendous love of cars, especially Cadillacs. We saw purple ones, pink ones, and then one interesting story, I mean there's so many, but one interesting story was there was this Stutz Blackhawk from 1971, I think it was, and it was the first one in the US, and it was intended for Frank Sinatra, and Elvis charmed his way in there and swooped it away because he was such a buyer of cars. He was able to scoop that up, and then he bought another one in 1973.
And Stutz is an Italian model car.
Okay, I don't know that.
It was made in Italy.
So again, going back to the cars, he had 2 boats, one boat named after his mom. He had trikes, he had 3 motorcycles, 2 of them were Harleys. He had golf carts, snowmobiles. So it's like he played hard, and a lot of the home movies showed him, you know, playing football, swimming, snowboarding, playing in the snow, doing all these fun things, right? So again, with his entourage of people. We also saw an exhibit with an impressive wall of awards and songs. He also purchased a Delta plane and named it the Lisa Marie. It was amazing and true to his style too, because it had gold sinks and knobs. He had 3 TVs, it had plush seating, it sat his entire entourage. It again had a bar, it had 2 card tables, he had his own private desk and sets of phones so he could call to anybody when he needed anything. One inside the plane and one, actually he had one of the earlier outside the plane you could call. He also had at the end of the plane his own personal bedroom and a private bath. And then he had a second plane which the Colonel used for that. And he also, when I told you about, he hired, you know, maids and servants times 3. He had his own personal pilot and his own flight crew already ready to go at a whim. And one of the whims was?
Lisa Marie had never seen snow. So Elvis loaded up the plane, flew to, I think, to Colorado.
Yeah.
And Lisa Marie played for 10 minutes in the snow, then got back on the plane and flew home.
And then we then went to...
That's pretty good.
It is, yeah. And then we went to another section where they showed his whole time in Germany, in the Army.
The Army, yep.
Yep. And then there was an entire section for icons, right? So those who were greatly influenced by him, and it was such an array of artists. It was amazing. But I mean, it was so complex too. Like Kiss was there, Bruce Springsteen, Dolly,
Elton John,
Michael Bublé.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Kid Rock. And then there was another whole section for his jewelry, his costumes, and all of his jumpsuits. I mean, I think he could compete with Dolly there. Like he had so many jumpsuits, and they were all jumpsuits. So that was really interesting. That was his jam. And then, it was so much, it literally filled a whole exhibit hall, right? And then there was a new exhibit this year for Lisa Marie, of course, who passed away, you know, a couple of years ago. And it was about her life in music and her family and her history. And they kept a lot of her clothes and her key things as well that they showed. So, and then finally there was, you know, his whole stack of movies, such as King Creole, GI Blues, just to kind of name a few. And then what was really interesting in all of that, of course, we rounded it out at the end at Minnie Mae's, which is the grandmother, and that was we had a shake there. But then there was a section about where it all started, which was with Sun Records. And the first record was That's All Right, which was recorded in July 19th of 1954. So we went to see what, you know, we went to see what this was all about as well. We visited the Sun Studio the next day, and this is where Sam Phillips opened the recording studio in 1950, and Elvis played a 1950 Wurlitzer piano, you know, to record many of his songs. And then he also played with the iconic, you know, $1 Million Quartet, December 4th of 1956. And that was with Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins. So again, very well known for that. So what was an interesting fact, because we had a tour with a really phenomenal tour guide there as well. He sold the Elvis contract years later for $35,000. But he said that was a great choice for him at the time because it gave him the money to expand, hire, and grow his business for so many other amazing artists who had their start there.
Yeah, and now Elvis went under RCA.
At that point.
Right.
Correct.
Yep.
And then, I mean, this guy was really passionate about music. You know, he sang, we listened to original music on the vinyl, like world of difference in sound. It was just amazing. They said that people still today, this many years later, Sam Phillips left it in trust so that artists could come, and so many artists still today go through there to play the old instruments. We even got to sing in the old-fashioned mic. There's only one in the world that we got to sing in.
It was the original one that was used by Elvis and all of those artists at the time. And one of the musicians that went to Sun to record was Bono from U2.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
he's not country.
It's not country. No.
He's not country. I didn't know who he was. Don't laugh at me.
Okay. So all in all, it was an amazing. I learned so much. Yes.
It was absolutely amazing. It was really great. Oh, and I guess we ate at Vernon's. That was the last peak. They had a restaurant named after Minnie Mae for her sweets and her ice cream, and then they had a small restaurant named after Vernon for his love of the smoking of the meats, and so they had a small restaurant there. So that was our lunch. But long story short, it was amazing. So much history. It was really great. Thank you again, Dave, for putting together such a great tour. And in Elvis's words, TCB, taking care of business.
All right, and somebody is pulling him beside us here, so we're gonna cut it off there, and we'll be back with you. We're heading next to Loretta Lynn's farm, right? And we're going to be, matter of fact, we've already arrived at the KOA, the Buffalo KOA here, and our next report, we'll see you again and let you know how we make out at Loretta Lynn's farm. All right? For Harleys, Diners, and Rides, I'm Dave. Take care. Ride safe. Be safe. And we'll see you soon. I might have had a couple of these. Anyway, everybody take care, and we'll see you again soon. Right?
TCB.
TCB.